My name is Ability Tom. I represent Group 5. In Group 5, we actually were able to marshal out the following challenges. The issue of funding of investigation, fear of sensitization, securing the attendance of witnesses, lack of proper sensitization of community and religious leaders when it comes to the issue of gender-based violence, lack of synergy between the justice system and the law enforcement agencies. Also, we identify delays to access to justice, lack of proper referral pathway to case management, lack of training, capacity building in managing sexual abuse cases, and also external interference. I think this actually come across these issues and these cases when it has to do with SGBV. So in funding investigation, we're actually trying to see the issue of mobility to crime scene and how you can also convey the victim of crime to hospital when the need arises. And we actually know that fund has not been properly released in these areas. The issue of budgeting is not an issue, but the issue of releasing the fund when appropriate or when the need arises. And we actually look at who is in charge of this budget, who is in charge of releasing this fund. There are law enforcement agencies. You can start it with the police, the EFCC, NAPTIP, the ICPC, and all other law enforcement agencies that you can ever think of. They have budgets for these cases, but who is in charge? And how do we compel them to release this fund when the need arises? And we actually come to a solution that advocating for proper budgeting and releasing of the fund when the need arises is one of the solutions of which we need to look at and take care of. And if this is not done at the appropriate time, then I think the proper CSO can actually petition the appropriate authority for accountability. Why this fund that has been budgeted for this particular issue has not been released when the need arises. And we also suggest the establishment of a monetary unit for proper accountability. So this fund are there, it has been budgeted for, but there's nobody to give account for it. I actually have a case, a reality in real life, where I have a client who approached the police and she was actually asked for 200,000 for mobility to be able to carry out the investigation of a petition of which she wrote. So she has to pay money before anything can be done. But this is an agency that budget has been, these issues have been budgeted for and the fund has not been released. So you see the nominal complainant bearing the burden of funding these people to carry out their investigation of which budget has been made for. So the next point is fear of stigmatization, and we all know what it's all about when it comes to a girl child who has been victimized sexually, and we suggest as one of our solutions that proper counseling should be carried out on a victim, and also sensitizing the parents, the youth of the community, the religious leaders, the community leaders on issues of this nature to be able to take care of the victim of the crime when the need arises. We also advocate for training for the first respondent on how to handle the SGBV reports. We talk about the issue of sympathization and empathy. These issues need to be actually looked upon and handled when the need arises. And the third point or challenge of which we pointed out is securing the attendance of witnesses when the need also arises. And the problem we actually found in this area is Fund has not been released to aid the transportation of witnesses to court. Fund has not been released for these, and we also talk about the issue of protection of witness, and we all know that AJA or SGBV, as the case may be, has made provision for protection of witnesses. Protection of witnesses is quite very important, especially in the area where their life is being threatened. So we need to give them proper protection, and AJA and SRHR has actually made provision for this, and we need to apply for it when the need arises to protect the witnesses. And the non-disclosure of the witnesses' identity. There are so many ways to go about this. If we have to apply this procedure, there are so many ways to go about it. We can apply for a visual testimony, we can apply for recording testimony, we can apply for veiling the witness when the need arises in order not to disclose the identity of these witnesses. There is this current technology that is actually ongoing. It's a device of which you can place on the mouth of the witnesses that can actually alter the voice of the identity of the witness. So whatever the person is saying, you may not actually know who is talking, because you can actually identify a witness through his or her voice. But with these devices, you can apply for it, and the person will give his or her testimony, the voice changes, so you may not actually know who is testifying. So we actually advocate for that as one of the solutions. We also talk about the issue of transportation of witnesses to court and friendly approach to witnesses by the law enforcement agencies. There are some situations where even the witness that the prosecutor has to take to court is being harassed, and if that happens, you actually demoralize the witness, you confuse him, you may not actually know what to say or to do while in court. And the number 4 issue, challenges of which we raise, is lack of appropriate sensitization, community leaders and religious leaders. And we suggest that we need to conduct a proper sensitization on rape cases or GBV cases for these communities, for them to know the implications of these issues when they have one in their community. It is not to give room for stigmatization. So we need to talk to them to be able to counsel the victim when the need arises. We need to talk to them, we need to give them special training and sensitization for them to handle the cases when it arises, in order to be able to instigate and bring the victim back to the society without having any issues. And we talk about the lack of synergy between the justice system and the law enforcement agencies, and we advocate for establishment of gender-based central working group comprising of all the relevant stakeholders of the GBV cases. So all the sectors, all the enforcement agencies, the CSO has to come together as a body, as a team, to provide a better solution when it comes to issues like this. We also talk about the issue of delayed access to justice. Talk about the issue of bureaucracy from the administration of these cases to where it is being filed in court. Talk about the issue of technicalities, improper documentation, ill-equipped of relevant laws by the prosecution. I've witnessed where a charge has to be amended severally before the case can proceed. And if you are well equipped with the procedure of drafting charges, the justice system will not be delayed. And we also discourage the issue of technicalities when it comes to this issue of gender-based violence, where unnecessary adjournment has to be applied for. And lastly, we talk about the issue of lack of proper referral, and we advocate for training, capacity building, and proper referral pathway to GBV stakeholders. I think this is where we actually end our discussion. Then we talk about the issue of external interference. That one is actually a general issue where you have external forces coming in to delay the justice system, especially beginning from the police and even up to the court. You see people coming up with different issues just to delay the process or to terminate the case so that the offender maybe belongs to a high-class family or not. But we need to discourage this attitude. Thank you very much.